Good afternoon, Instagram. Welcome to our chat with Greg Mangham from Only a Pavement Away. And the
Oh, yeah.
worked. Welcome, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm all right. You know me and technology.
Good to see you. I have to say this is the first time I've ever tried to do one of these with a couple of people involved. So I'm glad that all worked out well. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks. Pretty good indeed.
Good. It's good to see you. So we spoke on the phone a few weeks ago, didn't we? But yeah, it's the first time I've seen you in months.
Yeah. I was just about to say in the flesh, but that's not the right way to put it, really.
No, definitely not. We'll come back to that one another time, maybe. So, yeah, as people are joining us this afternoon, I just really wanted to have a chat with you because, as you know, I really think what you're doing is fantastic. But I know that there's still quite a lot of people who have never heard of Only a Pavement Away or don't really know what it is that you do. So wanted to sort of give the people watching this the chance to sort of learn a bit about what you do and hear some of your fantastic stories. So could you maybe just give us a quick lowdown on Only a Pavement Away, how it was set up and what you do?
Right, yeah. So I had a consultancy in hospitality and then decided that we needed to help homeless people get into work in the industry. And so, cutting a long story short, we set up Only a Pavement Away and we got some forward-thinking employers who were willing to give people who'd either been homeless or in prison or had come out of the military with issues to give them an opportunity. And then we linked up with people like Crisis, House St Barnabas, St Mungo's, the custodial groups, and Walking with the Wounded. And we set up a free jobs board. So the employers put their jobs on there for nothing. And then the charities and the organisations we work with then can apply on behalf of their people and send them for jobs. And what the employers know is that everybody who comes to them comes from a vulnerable background. And those who go for the interview know that the person interviewing them isn't going to have any preconceived ideas about them. And then if they get employed, we then will give them financial support, and the charities and the organisations that support them will give them emotional support. And up until pre-COVID, we put 65 people into work in our first 16 months.
Fantastic.
And our retention levels were very high. We had a couple of people gone past the year barrier. And one guy was with the Ivy collection and had got promoted from pot wash and was on the verge of becoming a sous chef.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was sort of really taking off, and we then said that we were going to be the charity for the employment of vulnerable people into careers in the hospitality industry, and that's what we were looking to do.
Fantastic. And you've mentioned obviously a couple of the success stories that you've had there in terms of your members, and can you maybe just give us a flavour of some of the companies that you've had partnerships with?
We're up to 34 companies now, and just I suppose the caveat is really, Adam, as you know, they don't pay, the employers don't pay to go on the jobs board. But what happens is that they have to commit to give someone an interview if they're put forward by a charity, and B, then they support us on the campaigns that we do, like Fill a Flask, where we gave out 4,000 thermal flasks filled with chilled water last summer in 4 cities with 40 odd volunteers. We had Winter Warmth, where we gave out £57,000 worth of good quality clothing and sleeping bags. That was all sponsored by the industry. So we've got the Ivy collection, Fuller's, Pub Love, which was the very first one to come on board. We've got Young's, Gauchos, Beds and Bars, Brewhouse and Kitchen is another big one. They're always really there for us. We're talking to people at the Savoy and the Dorchester. We've got Malmaison hotels. And Green King are big with us, and there's a whole raft of employers. There's 34, and you can see those on our website. Their logos are on there, and it tells you a bit about them. But I think the big thing is that what all the employers have done is they've backed it wholeheartedly, and they've come forward and they've given people a chance, even if it's sort of, maybe smaller groups who have just taken one person. There's a company called Yo Group down near Felixstowe, Ipswich. They've taken one person on, and they've got 3 outlets, but they keep on coming back, and they keep on wanting to try, and they keep on helping us with pre-release recruitment fairs in prison, and that's, you know, that really helps. And we've got sort of honest burgers, pizza pilgrims. There's a whole raft of them. I'd hate to.
The who's who, basically, I think, is the.
Yeah, it's the who's who's. You know, if you're not part of Only a Pavement Away, or you don't want to be part of us, then that's okay by us. But yeah, and it's, people say, is there a contract? There's a, I suppose, sort of a very loosely framed set of SLAs where we expect the employers to be empathetic. It doesn't run on sympathy. It's all based on empathy. But they have to understand that when they take someone on, you know, if they come out of prison, they'll be institutionalised. They're used to being told what time to get up. If you've been homeless and rough sleeping, you may not have the discipline to be at work on a certain time. But if you come out of the military, then you are very sort of into a routine. And every one of those offers the employer something different. Where else do you get a work ethic? Where if you come out of prison, your work ethic is the harder you work, the better perks you get, the better phone cards you get. You know, you can get to work in the kitchen and learn a career. You come out of the military, you're used to teamwork and camaraderie and working with people and discipline. And if you're homeless, my God, yeah, I don't have that tenacity or courage. I couldn't sleep in the doorway for one night. And yet what these people bring, where people might look at them and say, you've been in prison, you've been in the doorway, you've got anxiety. Get past that. And that's what our employers do. They get past that and they look at the strengths of what these people bring.
I think that's really important, because I think, you know, a lot of people, obviously pre-COVID, you know, people couldn't find team members for love nor money, and no. Then probably sort of turning to perhaps more unusual channels of recruitment. And now, obviously, the situation where a lot of people are sadly probably going to lose their jobs. But I think it's important to remember that actually, you know, channels like yourself and, you know, the various organisations you work with, it's not a kind of a last resort situation. It's actually, we should be looking for the key strengths and capabilities that the people with all of these different backgrounds can bring, because actually they are they may need a little bit more support in certain ways, but they, you know, be a lot stronger than a lot of the candidates that you see from any other kind of form of you know, careers advertising that you would do.
Oh, you're spot on, Adam, because what you've got as well is that if someone comes to you from Only a Pavement Away, you know that if they've got the crisis job broker phoned you, or the Novice custodial group phoned you, or Walking with the Wounded, you know where they've come from. And you will know more about those people than the person who walks in through the door. Because if the person walks in through the door and you say to them, where were you for 216, 218? They might turn and say, I've been travelling.
Yeah.
For all you know, they were sleeping rough or they were in prison. With us, everything's on the table. We're totally transparent. And you know, there are certain sort of exclusion zones where, because of insurance policies or the type of customers we've got, then there are certain people that we can't put forward to employers. But the employers are pretty open and very broad-minded. And the work ethic, they all turn around and say the work ethic is great. You know, one example we've got is one guy who did 3-4 years in prison, and he was a sort of muscle for the gangs. He's just a bloody brilliant pastry chef.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, and by us helping him and contributing towards his rent, he's still there with them, where he could have quite easily gone back to the gangs.
Okay. So I think, you know, we obviously identified some great success stories, some key reasons why you know, employers should work with Only a Pavement Away. But just kind of flipping back, thinking about the last few months,
yeah,
obviously the challenges that's presented for your members, especially people you know, perhaps either becoming homeless or, you know, already homeless and experiencing more challenges than normal. Can you maybe just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing to support all those people during these last few months?
Well, we had a very simple choice. Do we just sit here and wait and then think, when COVID's over, we'll start again and we'll get our jobs ball going? So I got together with Dalal Ahmed, who's head of employment engagement at Crisis, and is one of our trustees. And we said what we needed to do was protect the members that had stayed with us and had been furloughed. So we paid the 20% pay gap for those members.
Wow.
And we went out and got funding, and we were able to do April and May. We will do June. Asahi are going to step in and cover July for us. Mm-hmm. And it's about £3,500 a month that we pay to cover the 20%. And then we've also paid someone's rent. We had a guy who came out of prison, was due to start work on the day of the lockdown. So he was a member. So we rent and pay for his shopping. And he's hanging on there waiting for us to reopen, and we'll be on the jobs board. And then we were approached by a charity and said, do you know anybody who could cook some food? So, and I tell this bit to everyone. I spoke to Anthony Pender of Yummy Pub Company and said, do you think you could knock out 15, 20 meals a week for me? He's now up to 375 meals a day, 7 days a week. We've got Paul Pavley, who's one of our advisors and is well known in the industry. He's become like the procurement guru. You know, we talk to Paul and suddenly there's an email. There's pasta coming down the motorway. There's 500 cases of soft drinks. I mean, it's just been fantastic. And we put out something like 36,000 meals, 70,000 drinks, 70,000 snacks. Paul even got something like 2,000 to 3,000 Easter eggs. And it's amazing because some of these homeless people are around and saying, I haven't had an Easter egg. One guy said, I haven't had an Easter egg for 8 years. And the job broker who was looking after him said, I just worked out that he's only 18. We thought he was about 30 because he spent so long on the streets and he's so ravaged. But he was delighted. And he asked if he could have another Easter egg. And Thomas Franks stepped in, and they were supplying meals and still are. We've teamed up with Hillsong, the charity, and then Delal's brother and his mate, Mdad, down at in Newham and Tower Hamlets are collecting food from Pasta Ramoli in Stratford. And they're now doing 75 meals a week. So we're putting these meals out. Everything has been donated. And then we got approached by Tom Aikens and said, how do you fancy doing a cooking challenge? Well, we're pleased to say now that Tom is now our ambassador. And we then decided that we would do this 5-minute cookery challenge. If anybody wants a really good laugh, then there's my one of when I blew up my barbecue.
Sorry to interrupt you. I don't know if you can see on your screen, but Paul has actually just posted a message saying you're doing a fab job, Greg, with a thumbs up. So,
well, I'll tell you what, I don't think we'd be anywhere we were today. But he's going to love this in front of all these people on this screen. He is the private walker from Dad's Army of only a payment away. We need pasta, Paul. We need drinks. We need chocolate. He just gets it for us, and he's, you know, and again, all in his own time, like Anthony Pender. Everything has been donated. So thanks, Paul. But I think a lot of the credit must go to you and Anthony. So yeah, so we've got Tom Aikens doing this. So we're going to do this 5-minute challenge, cook a meal in 5 minutes, donate £5 and nominate 5 people. I mean, okay, we're going to get 20, 30 people. And then what we're going to do is we will create a brochure for all our members, and they can have the 20 or 30 recipes, and they will be able to cook those, and that will help them stop them buying takeaways. We're now up to over 150 recipes that have come in. We've got 150 videos on our YouTube channel. This sounds good coming from me, doesn't it? A YouTube channel.
Yeah, much more technical than I thought.
So, if Pavley wants to help me, then tell me how to get into a YouTube channel, because apparently we got one. So, yeah, so we've got that. And then Tom turned around and said, what about cookbook? So we're going to go out and get funding to do a charity cookery book. And what you'll have on page 1 is you'll have the preface by Tom Aikens, and then you'll have someone cooking a meal. And the best example is we've got someone like Tom Kerridge doing an omelette, and it's exactly the same as Paul Pavley did an omelette. So they'll be on pages facing each other. And I don't think anywhere has ever done a cookery book fronted by a celebrity like Tom Aikens, and where all the proceeds will go to the charity, and that you can actually get a cookery book. And if you're stuck on looking at that recipe, you can go online and watch the video.
Yeah.
And we've had Tom Kerridge, we've got the executive chef of the Ritz, the Savoy, the Dorchester, and then you get, you know, there's better sort of contingents. There's like Paul's done it, and other people from hospitality have done it. Emma McClarkin's done it from British Beer and Pub Association, and then you get right down to the plebs like me, you know, blows up the barbecue, but has to have it speeded up because the 5-minute challenge actually was 15, really. And so we're doing that, and what we're saying now is we've got that going out, and that will be another cookbook that we want to get onto the shelves, and we want to say to people, if you want to come in and sponsor it, the brochure's all being sponsored by caterer.com. That they're doing the brochure, and they're sponsoring that for the members. But the book's going to be a lot more money. So if someone wants to get a page, buy a page for sponsorship, then I should say they talk to me, but they should probably talk to James Haken, because he's going to go around and see how we can get this sponsorship. But it's taken off after a phone call from a lady called Laura Thompson, rather, and Laura Thompson just works for Tom Aikens and said, "Would you be interested?" And so I said, "Yeah, okay, we give it a crack." And now we've got all these videos, and we've got a lady called Jenny Jew, who's a big chef in New York. We've got Charisse, who does the Bake Off. So they've all turned around, all these people, and I said, "Yeah, you can have our bio, have our picture, have our recipe, have our video." And it's been great how the industry has come together.
Definitely. So in terms of what's coming next, or any kind of key things that you'd like to share with anyone who's watching in terms of how they why they should get involved with Only a Pavement Away, and what difference it can make to their business, I guess, as well. What would you sort of like to say to them?
I think the big thing is that the charities are saying to me that out of the 400 or 500 new homeless in London, at least 50% of those are from hospitality. You only have to read the article in The Guardian about the amount of new homeless. You have to read the other article was out about the young waitress who we're getting back from a charity that she was sofa hopping, and now she's in a doorway and she's terrified because she's been offered alternative employment. And you can imagine what that is, young girl from abroad in a doorway. And what would you do if you're desperate to eat and you've lost everything, and you're used to showering and looking nice, and now you're in the doorway and someone nicks any money you've been given, or throws a sandwich at you, or decides it's fun to sort of pee on you or something like that. And so it's to help those people. And what we're going to do for this, and great credit to Dawn Redman from Hospitality Jobs UK, is that we've added a part to our jobs board. And it's going to be called the candidate profile page. And all the charities are going to be able to load their candidates on it. So whilst we know the vacancies won't be there in hospitality, if someone's opening up and saying, "Hang on, I need a kitchen porter," so great credit to Food Restaurants, Jade there, who's going to trial it for us, and she may have some vacancies coming up. So she's going to have a look at the candidates that are going on. And Natalie from Peach, she's saying, "Yeah, God, we'll have a look at it as well, and we'll be guinea pigs for you and trial it." So they're going to put the candidate's profile on there. So you can tell them and say, "I'm opening up, 25% of my workforce haven't returned, and those I have got don't necessarily want to be a kitchen porter or a commie chef or a barista, trainee barista. They don't want that. I haven't got, they're just where I'm short of staff." Okay, go on the candidate profile page, and there's someone there from one of the charities. "Yeah, but they might be sleeping rough." Don't worry about that. You get them a job. We'll work with the charities to get them in a hostel. And then once they've done a couple of weeks, we will then come up with the rent deposit. We will find it by hook or by crook, the rent deposit, so that person has a decent part of accommodation. And if anybody from hospitality is saying, "Why should I be involved?" or there's someone out there saying, "What makes it?" This is a very simple process. We are the conduit. It's not about do-gooders. It's not about going home and easing your conscience. This is also very pragmatic and very commercial. Yeah. We need good quality people with a work ethic. And imagine what it's going to be like if you've come through COVID-19 and you've been on the streets, or you've come out of prison and your flat's been ransacked and you've got nowhere to go. What are you going to want to do? You're going to want to work. And you're going to want to get into an industry that just wants is good people. We want good people, and we don't pay 30 pence an hour like when I started. We pay lots of money. We've got great associations. We're the fourth biggest industry in this country. And I think what people have noticed is who's fed the NHS? Hospitality. Who's looked after the homeless? Hospitality. We've been there. We are the community. And I think people outside of hospitality are starting to recognise how important we are. So if you want to join, get in touch with me. Be part of the cooking challenge. Be part of. Get your names on the jobs board. And someone find me a philanthropist, because we can get 250 people into work next year. And this year, the 65 we got into work, we saved the taxpayer £2.1 million. That's what we say, because every reoffender is 48, every homeless person is 20,000 a year, all those types of things.
Fantastic.
So that answered your question, all right?
Yeah, as always, you're very good at answering all of the questions. So, final question then really is: so if anyone wants to find out more about Only a Pavement Away, or want to kind of get involved, what's the best way to do that and get in contact with you?
It's just quickly. Paul Pavley has sent me a note, sort of saying that don't forget to tell people that the cooking challenge can be fun unless you're my neighbour. Because when he looked over, I was filming the barbecue being on fire, and had to go put my phone on mute and say, "Shut up, Mick. Your fence is going to be okay. It's just scorched, but I'll put a new panel in." So, but the way to get in touch is Greg Mangham at onlyapavementaway.co.uk. Follow us on at A Pavement Away on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. If you want to help us out promoting that YouTube channel, we've now got a lady called Lena Olay, who's ex-UK Hospitality and just started her own consultancy. So she's helping us develop the YouTube channel. So it's all those types of things, because where else are you going to get a free jobs board? Where else are you going to be able to help someone who, and what we all have to realise is we are not very far away. It was 3 mortgage payments. I would think it's probably 1 mortgage payment away from destitution in the streets. You know, and it will. I think what people realise now, it will never happen to us. It has happened to us.
Yeah. And as well, just to kind of reiterate that point as well, is finding those people who can really bring something to your business that you're just not going to find out from you know, the sort of maybe more conventional recruitment channels that we've been used to using in hospitality. And, you know, those kind of things, like you said, around resilience, leadership, teamwork, work ethic, are really kind of prevalent in the members that you work with.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I spoke to one employer who said he thought 50% of his people lied on their CV, 25% stole from him, and he just went through and he said, "But I know that what your people have done. I know where they've been. You know, I'll give you 2 examples. One homeless guy said to me, 'You notice us, but you don't see us. All you see is the cardboard box.' And one guy came out of prison and said, 'They should have put me in prison when I was born, because I was on the bad housing estate, in a bad dysfunctional family, in a school that I was a low achiever, I was an academic, and I had more uncles than anybody's ever had.' He said, 'I was destined for prison.' And he's still with us."
Fantastic. I feel like we should have actually probably brought Paul into the conversation, because he's also just reminded us of the website address, which is www.onlyapavementaway.co.uk. So you can find out more information there, or as Greg said, contact him via his email or social media for A Pavement Away. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, Greg. Great talking to you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
No, great to see you, and look forward to catching up soon in the flesh, as you would put it. But,
yeah. And I look forward to your menu, Adam, as well, your recipe.
Sounds good. Look after yourself. Speak soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.